Hello you glorious lot, it's Gran here, in another episode of Vintage Story in my Series 4 Rusty Gears world. Now then, I did promise I would come back and finish this build, and I am absolutely going to do that. And this is my first video of the year since I made it into a single player world with the help of Sid, who packed it all up for me. He got it all sorted out all the mods, packaged it all up, and I downloaded it on the 21st of November. So I haven't been in it since then. And it was the 23rd when I made it into a single player world. And I can't tell you how super excited I am to be back and to be looking at Winterfell. You can ignore that quern over there. It's grinding up some lime for me at the moment. It's a bit hit and miss because the wind's a bit iffy at the moment, but ignore it anyway because we're not going to do anything with that today. But what I am going to do today, which is a biggie because I've been thinking about this build for quite some time, and there were a couple of things I wanted to change about it. Well, there were more than a couple of things really, and I'm going to show you what I've been getting up to. Remember my first little storage room? Well, I keep my food in here now. Let's have a look. Oh, 72 days, 72 days. Oh, look at this! 16.9 years. That's all right, isn't it? Oh my goodness me. I don't have to worry about that then, do I? And some charred red meat for 215 days. Very good. So, one of the things I did when I first came into the world, just have a look around and make sure everything is as it's supposed to be, and the mods were working and all that jazz, was to turn it into a passive world. Yeah, I don't want anything attacking me or anything like that. I really love that about my passive world. I really do. But this is a passive world now. So... oh, that's an arrow. But what I wanted to do was just come down here, you know, this pit that had all these wolves and bears in it. I wanted to see how they react whilst we're in a passive world. Oh, look at that. We are truly in a passive world. They're not agitated at all. Oh, hello. We're not we're not in a hostile world at all. We are now in a passive world, and they are not going to bother me. Let me just go down here and get a bit closer just to make sure. But I think that they're not bothered by me. So I don't think I'm going to be bothered by them. Nice. So, as we're in a passive world, I'm not going to keep them down there in that hole. I think it's very barbaric, and I'm going to let them out. Although I'm not going to do it on foot. I'm going to use my angel belt just in case, until I've got used to the fact that they're not going to attack me, because of course they always attacked me before. So let me just dig around here. Get that one. Get some more around here. I don't think they know they can get out yet. Oh, the black bear's out. The black bear's out. Nice. Very nice. Let me take a few more around this side. I don't think the wolves know they can get out yet. Come on. There. You should all be able to climb up there now and get out. Come on, you lot. They're a bit slow, aren't they? Well, they have been in there a long time. And I must say, every time I came on and saw them in there, I hated it, really. But now, you're free! Oh, they're all coming out now. Nice. Look at that, they're all going in different directions. Awesome. You're free! Hello? No, you're not going to attack me, are you? Right. Well, I think I left Norbert in here as well. And I think he's going to be in the stable. I think that's where he was last time I was here. Let's just go and have a look. See if he's okay. It'd been a while since he's been fed. Oh, there he is, look. Oh! Ah, that's because the gates are locked. Oh my goodness, I didn't know he could go up that high. Up again. Oh my goodness, let's have a look at him. Yeah, wait, good. Okay, let's start at the beginning. So, this is the entrance to my version of Winterfell. I know it probably won't be everybody's version, but, you know, there's not a lot of description in the books. There's a little bit, you know, a little bit here and there to suggest that this goes there and that goes there. But this is my version of Winterfell. And I mean, even the television series wasn't exactly as it was described in the book. There was a lot of poetic license in there, and I've used a lot of poetic license in this one as well. So let's go around here and walk up through the village. And this is Wintertown. And I wanted to build Wintertown before I got onto the castle, which I did. It took me a long time, a lot longer than it should have done really, but I was really enjoying building these little houses. The Nadia village gave me the inspiration for these. That's a sconce I chiselled, thinking that it would look better, but I'm not quite sure. The torches have much more movement than that. That's a little fire that I chiselled as well, wanting the hearth in each of the houses to look a little bit more, well, they're not animated, are they, but a little bit more about them than an unlit fire pit. So I'm just going to walk up through the village just to remind you what it looks like and how big it is. Each of the houses is very different. Well, not very different, but it's different in its design. They're all similar sizes, some are a little bit bigger than others. And I've made lots of nooks and crannies in them, because I like little cottages to have that. But yeah, all different designs, some of them made with cobblestone, some of them with dirt, packed dirt, some of them with a mix. It's not finished by any means. All these houses are going to be decorated, they're going to have furniture in them, and they're going to have a little bit of life about them. But I wanted to do that last. What I wanted to concentrate on, once I'd done Wintertown, was the main build. And I wanted to get all the buildings in before I actually started doing any decoration. Right, let's go a bit further on. Oh, still a bit of snow lying about as well. I used different blocks for houses. Some of them were with rammed earth, some of them with cobblestone, some of them wattle and daub, and some of them a mixture. And I think that worked quite well. Quite well, I did. I made some terraced houses. I made 2 lots of terraced houses, actually. I quite like these. We have a lot of terraced houses in Yorkshire, so I felt like I wanted to put some terraced houses in here. And I think they also came out quite well. Quite dinky little houses those are. And the little houses have cellars, if they don't have a first floor. And some of the houses that are a little bit more roomy do have an upstairs to them. And I quite like putting those in as well. Let's pop back to the main path and go back down the middle. I tried to make them all as different as possible. This is the other terraced lot, and now we're coming down towards the castle. And we're coming towards a bigger sort of build that is in Wintertown, and this is the inn, and it's called the Smoking Log. What have I got in here? Oh yeah, no, nothing much. This is the market square. And in the market square is a well in the centre of it, and I've marked that out to do it, but I haven't built it yet. And these are market stalls that surround the square. And these reflect how it's described in the books. Let's just have a quick look in the Smoking Log. Oh, a lot of tools in there. Oh, but they're all on the last legs by the looks of it. But between Sid leaving me all the blocks that he had left over from building the walls, and I'll show you those in a minute, I've still got lots and lots of stuff in here, and I had a lot of help from Punk as well with materials, especially aged wood, which I use a lot of it in this build. I call that a cupboard, but some people have called it a garderobe, and that it should have pooping status. But I haven't thought much about that, but you never know what it might become. Yeah, so this, as I moved things further towards the castle as we got through building Wintertown. And I'm quite chuffed with it. I really, really am. Could do with more cottages on either side going up to the walls, I think. But apart from that, I think, yeah, I'm really, really chuffed with it. And since moving on and starting to build the castle, I let my imagination run away with me. I really did. But I still held Winterfell as my main focus for all the builds in here. And all the builds in here reflect the buildings that are actually mentioned in the book as being in Winterfell. So, this is a smithy. I have no idea if a smithy should look like this, but this is what my interpretation of a smithy should be. So, living spaces upstairs for the smithy and his family. Again, it'll all need to be decorated. like all the other buildings on here will be. And on this side will be the work area, where it does all his smithing. And then we've trotted through this stable, so I won't go back in there because I want to quickly get to what changes I've done since I made it into a single player world. And this is the Great Hall, as you can imagine. You can imagine loads of people sitting on these tables with Lord Ned Stark sat at the top there with his Lady Catelyn. And this is the Armory. And I really enjoyed building this, and I loved incorporating the vaulting at the bottom. And there's lots of space for lots of things to go in here. Lots of weapons and armour and all sorts. I'm going to pack it full of stuff. We've got battlements all over the place. And we've got access into certain areas from other areas. I really enjoyed connecting them all up. And this goes through here to the first of my wooden walkways, which I enjoyed building this as well. And then this walkway leads into the Great Keep, where the family have their residence and their bedchambers. If we go down, I may be changing these stairs, by the way, because, well, they started annoying me, really. I don't think it was the better block for me to choose. But this is the main area on the ground floor of the Great Keep. It's a monumental building. It took me quite a while to build, but I really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed all this build, actually. Down here are the kitchens, because I felt that the kitchens would be near or under the Great Keep, so that's where I wanted to put them. And they would have access to the Great Hall, because that's where everybody ate. So that made sense to me. And I remember thinking when oh, what's that over there? What's that? Ah, I think that must be the particle mod. I think Sid must have put that in for me, but I've never used that before. I certainly don't want particles coming up through the floor in here. I shall have to whizzle that out. I've never used that. I have actually taken a few of the mods out because there were a lot of them. Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's the Great Hall. Oh, let's nip out here. And you'll see a couple of buildings that you haven't seen before, so I'll be going through those in just a second. But let's just go back in here, and oh, we've got a couple of visitors, and just to prove that it is a passive world, they're not gonna bother me at all. In fact, I wouldn't have expected these in here because there are night watchers about that are supposed to stop their spawns. I don't know if there's a little patch in here that hasn't. Well, I don't know, because they weren't spawning before when I was in last time. So I don't know if making it into a passive world has changed or stopped the night watchers from working. I've no idea. So let's just nip upstairs right quick so I can remind you what I've done up here. So we have a few floors on here. The first floor is for Lord and Lady Stark. This is... Oh, there's some other critters in here somewhere. This is Ed Stark's solar, so like his office, and right next to his bedroom, his bed chamber, to use the proper terms. I won't be able to all the way through because I don't know them all. But gigantic fireplace there to keep them warm when it's lit. And then going up the stairs again, onto the second floor, we'll find the bed chambers of his children, and probably a ward or two. And the one I'm thinking of is Theon Greyjoy, who probably did have a room in this building. And these would, of course, have been smaller rooms. Oh, well, that's where that critter is. No, we'll leave him in here. He looks happy enough. Oh, dear. Let me just close that. I'm a door closer. You've probably noticed that in all my videos. And further up the stairs, we have another floor. And another set of bedrooms on the top floor here. And let's go up to the roof where you can have a look at the view from the top. And up here, you can get ladders onto the roof, which I suspect a lot of the guards would do, so that they could make use of the matriculations and the crenellations and be able to defend the keep like they would do if an army was invading. I'll just use my angel belt because, of course, in this season I had an angel belt and I used it a lot, but I think I have a lot of license now to use it wherever I like, seeing as I'm the only one on this world. So this is the guards' hall, and again, although it's not decorated, I made enough space for quite a large garrison, really, to help defend the castle. So in here, you would expect, or there will be, lots of beds side by side. Of course, soldiers in them days, you know, guards, were they didn't have much room. They didn't have much room at all. So imagine all the beds in here as well. And another floor up here. So yeah, I should be making lots of beds at some stage. And if we go through here, there's more battlements that would help defend the castle, because the castle was separated by walls with battlements on to compartmentalise the castle, if you like. It added to its defence. And there was some more barracks down here. So that was the guards' hall. And lots of space around for training and that sort of thing. It was supposed to be a double wall around here, but if you saw when I first started building the walls, you'd see why it was reduced to just one wall. 2 walls would have been a lot of work. That's a lichen, which is a space where previous servants over the years were buried when they died. So they had a special place for all the servants. This was the first keep, which was derelict. Really, it wasn't used as a keep, so I've turned it into a storage space, because you can imagine in a castle, storage space is at a premium, and I don't think they would have left spaces unused. I think they would, if it wasn't used for the purpose it was built, it would be turned into some kind of storage. We've got stairs going up there, we'll go up there in a minute, but just to show you each of the areas underneath has space for any sort of storage they wanted to store in there. So I'll be filling them up with all sorts of things. But up the stairs would take you to what was... I'm still working on this building, by the way. Would have been used as a keep, where the family at the time would have had their bed chambers. And if you remember, in season 1 of Game of Thrones, this is where Cersei and Jaime Lannister undertook their dastardly deed, which involved injuring one of the Stark's children, Bran. So, and underneath here are going to be undercrofts where there's going to be more storage. There we go. And this, well, I had the intention that this would be the guest house, but I really do not like it. I did not, once I'd built it, I did not have any inspiration at all for the internal design of it, and I still don't have. So this is coming down. This is coming down because I'm actually going to move a couple of the buildings, and there won't be space for it here anyway. The glass house I was right chuffed with, and I'm right chuffed that things grow in it as well, and nothing's died. There's fruit in there, there's veggies in there, and they're all growing. I've harvested that lot once. Over here is going to be the kennels, and I've set some foundations for the kennels, but I haven't built these yet, as you can see. And I think they're appropriately placed because over there is Hunter's Gate, and when they went out on a hunt, they would go through the Hunter's Gate with the dogs. Over here, if you remember, one of the latter buildings that I built was the bell tower and the maester's turret with a rookery on top. And the bell tower, if I can just use my angel belt again. I haven't fashioned the bell yet, but that's going to go in there. And the lower part of this will probably be storage as well. And over here is the rookery. I was quite chuffed with this when I built it. I had a lot of fun building this. I really enjoyed it. There were very few images of rookeries that I could take for inspiration. This probably needs to be finished. I could fall down there. That won't be very good. But the rooks would fly in the top part where you've got the archers and the open areas. And then training of the rooks would be in this part where they would be fed in cages so they knew where home was. I quite like this as well. So there's a bit more decorating to go on in here as well. And then the next floor down is where the maester would do his work. And you can imagine receiving messages and taking messages, sending messages, I mean. And being the main source of information for the castle. And then on the ground floor, again, this probably would be used for storage. Oh, it's not opening. There we go. Let's just try that. Ah, that's better. That's better. Okay. That's a big step, and I haven't finished the steps on there. But if we just run along here, I'm not going right to the top in here, but all the floors are the same in here. And I've used the same blocks again for the stairs. I'm still thinking about that. So, yeah, so that's what we've got so far. Oh, I made some rooks to go to look like they were flying into the rookery. I had an immense amount of help from Sid building these walls after I built the first couple, and he knew what the style was. He offered to build the rest of the walls, and who was I to say no? And he did a fab job. There's still some bits to do on them, but the meat of them are there, and the turrets at the top are there, which is fantastic. So still all the insides to do for most of the towers. He did the flags as well, which is fantastic. The place really came alive when he put the flags up. And he used the direwolf design I put on the main gates for the sigil for the flags. He did a fab job. So much work, honestly. I'm right chuffed with that. But yeah, the guest house is going. Don't like it. But this was the last building I built, and you haven't seen this. This is the library, and I was really chuffed with the Oh, just a minute. Let me have a little nibble, and we'll go in. I do have one regret with the library, and that is I put it where it is. And there are two buildings that I regret putting where they are, and I'm actually going to resolve that, and I'll show you how shortly. But first, let's go and have a look at the library. So on the lower floor, we have a vaulted room, and I felt it should be vaulted because the building is quite high. It was described as a tall, round tower with a staircase around the outside. And the ground floor I chose to vault. Well, I put two vaulted floors in here actually because the building is so tall. And I wanted it to look like the lower floors would hold up the library above it. To give it a feeling of strength, I suppose, really. Because the library is quite tall and this is quite a tall building. But yeah, I quite like that under there. Right, let me show you these stairs on the outside because these took me a long time to do. And I originally did them all in cobblestone, but then when I spoke to Dampus, one of the BetterRuins builders, he suggested I have this layer of granite on top that would enable the stairs to stand out because they were getting lost in all the cobble. And I think it worked out quite well. It really did. And you can walk up them as well. I've got my angel belt on at the moment, but I'm going to turn it off so you can see that I can actually walk up these stairs. There we go. Let me just go all the way up. I do like this building. I was really chuffed when I'd done this. And I was so chuffed with it that I decided that I would decorate it. So I have done a little bit of decoration on the inside. And I put chandeliers up in here because the chandelier light is very bright. And I think does better than the torches in the torch holders for light. And I think you would expect more light in this area because there's lots and lots of book to read. I used a lot of acacia. A lot of scrolls in here. And books, as you would expect in a library. And I had fun using the wrench to move the books on top of the bookshelves in this one. I've not used the wrench before, really, for anything, substantial. But yeah, I had lots of fun with it in here. I really liked it. And the windows came from the derelict churches that you can find from the BetterRuins mod. And I found a couple of those. I think they work very well in here. I put them in the Armory as well, if you haven't noticed. But yeah, I quite like those. I think they suit this building as well, I think. And this is a domed roof as well. I've done a few domed roofs on the buildings. I didn't really know what other type of roof to put on the round buildings, but the domes fitted quite well, I think. Fitted in with the, the general sort of build. So yeah, I think I could probably put a few pelts on this floor as well. And of course, the whole of the castle were built on hot springs, and the hot water was piped around the castle to keep people warm. I have no idea how though. I haven't made use of any rusty pipes yet, so I shall be getting to that at some point. Right, well, one of the first changes I'm going to make is to get rid of the guest house. I don't like it, I don't like where it is. I don't like the design. We've got wolves and bears all over. And I shouldn't have built it. I think it was probably end of season fatigue that got me to build this monstrosity. I just don't like it. So it's going to go. And any suggestions for designs for guest houses and where they might fit in my version of Winterfell will be warmly welcomed, because I just haven't got any idea for this one. I really haven't. I've had no inspiration at all. And whenever I look up guest houses, I just get images of modern guest houses. So yeah, it'll take me a while with this because I want to retain all these blocks and use them elsewhere. I need another pick because this demolishing, takes a lot of pick work. It really does. Right, that's it. It's gone. Okay, I've got all my resources here. Well, a lot of them. And a lot of these came from Sid and from Punk for the aged wood. And a lot of that came from the guest house and that. So yeah, I've got a lot of stuff to be going on with. Another change I'm going to make is to get rid of the temporal instability in this area. Well, once I put the command in, it'll affect the whole world, I think. It's not just going to be this area. So world config space temporal stability false. Now I've got to restart the game for this to take effect. But if you look at my wheel and look at it now, it's gone. Oh, that is so cool. It really is. It really, really is. I should be so glad that I don't have to go to my base and restore my sanity every half hour or so. I'm so chuffed to get that out of the way. I really am. The next thing I'm going to do is going to move the library, and I'm going to use World Edit for that. So I have to go into Creative to use World Edit. As you remember from my passive world, I've used it to change blocks so that they can become editable, but I've never moved a building, so this will be interesting. The next thing I need to do is to retrieve a wand from the creative inventory. There's that wand I used before. Then I need to open World Edit, and I need to find the select tool. And for me on my keyboard, to open World Edit, I need to hit the key on the left of the number 1. And on the left side of the screen, you'll see a number of buttons you can select. And the select tool is the square with a dotted line around it. And once you've selected that, you'll see another menu at the top of your screen full of buttons that you'll be using to move the building that you're going to move around. So let us go down and select the area around the building we want to move. So the first block we're going to select needs to make sure that the building is within that boundary. So I'm going to make my first one here, although that grass was in my way. And I'm going to left click this if it'll let me. There, that's selected. You can see that it's selected. And now I'm going to go to the opposite corner of what will be a square or an oblong, depending whether you... I mean, this building is round, so it'll be more square than anything. So again, making sure the building is inside this box that I'm going to mark, that everything is inside it. So, and I'm going to right click on this side. And once you've done that, you can see the area you've selected on the floor. It's darker. So once I've done that, I need to make that area cover the whole of the building. So I need to grow that selection upwards, and that's U and a plus. And there you can see it coming up. And I want to make sure that goes above the building or the library that I'm going to move. I need to move up a bit because I can't see the top of my building. But if you bring World Edit up again, by hitting that key, you can carry on and move it all the way above the top of the building. And I'm just going to add another for good measure. I don't know if that's a good tactic or not. Right. Now the next bit, I had to experiment a bit because I've never done this before. And I must say the instructions were a little bit confusing to me. But essentially, what I needed to do was find the move key, which was the thing that looked like a cursor. And that was 2 buttons up from the select tool. Once you click on that, you can see that the options change at the top of the screen. And these buttons enable you to move your building in any of the 4 cardinal directions. Now, I wasn't quite sure what to do here about the preview, so this bit is a little bit mixed up, but I do move the bell tower and the rookery all together, and you can see it clearly when I do that. I wasn't quite sure what to do here, so I clicked on the preview mode because that suggested to me I could have a look at stuff before I moved it, which was right, but I missed moving something at this point, or I missed clicking something on this point, and it took me a while to discover what it was. But when I clicked the preview origin point, it was already selected at bottom center, but when I clicked it on bottom center, a preview of the building actually appeared, but not where I wanted it to. I thought I may have done a boob here and I might have to go back, but I could actually use those buttons at the top of my screen to move it out of my glass house, which I was quite relieved, I can tell you that. So as I experimented with these buttons, I was able to get it in the right place, or a place where I felt it was more appropriate. So I now wanted it to go south. Now I'd moved it out of the glass house. I didn't want it so close to the kennels, so I moved it a little bit further north. And then I could see it was hovering above ground, so I needed it to go down a bit. And I wanted that block you could see that it was sat on, I wanted that to be embedded in the ground, so it needed to go down a little bit more. That to me looked about right. I did mess about a little bit more with the position it was in until I was totally satisfied with where it was. And then I decided I wanted to rotate it because I wanted the entrance to be on this northern side of the building. So I used the rotation button and I rotated it counterclockwise, 90 degrees. I had to look quite carefully to see if it actually had rotated or not. I could see the stairs in the preview, the original preview, but I had rotated it. As you can see, as I come round the back there, you can see the entrance at the top of the stairs were in the right place, but could hardly see the one at the bottom. But I felt it was right. So then I had to go down and right click the floor. Then I came out of creative mode and went back into survival mode. And there was the building. It knocked off my my angel belt, but that went back on again. Similar to when you sleep, actually, it knocks your angel belt off. And there it was, I'd moved it. Now I needed to check that all was well and everything was in its right place. So I popped in and the torches were not lit up as they should be, but I just needed to replace them. And they were as they were before. Going upstairs into the library, I found that the chandeliers and the light again wasn't as it should be. But once I broke the chandeliers and put them on the edge of the ends of the chains, put all the candles back on, they worked as they should have done. So a little thing going on with the light there, but easily rectified by just replacing the lights. And there we are. I couldn't see any other difference at all. The next thing I wanted to move was the bell tower, the Maester's turret and rookery, and the wooden walkway. And I was going to do this all in one move. So that would be quite a big area that I was moving. And because one of the buildings was lower down than the other, there was going to be some terraforming to do afterwards. So I went into creative mode. And then I got my wand out of the creative inventory. And then I needed to look around a bit to identify which of the blocks I was going to use. I started on the higher ground for some reason, and I can't tell you why I did. I made a note of the level of this ground, which was 114 or 114 on the Y. And then just as before, I opened up World Edit and found the Select tool. And then I left clicked on the floor with my wand, and then I went over to the opposite corner. And I went to the lowest ground over here, making sure that everything would be within the boundary of the area that I'd selected. So that was about here. And then, as before, I needed to bring the shaded area up above the level of the build. I needed to get above those crows, so I'd get all those in as well. But then I saw a couple of crows that I didn't catch inside the area that I'm going to move. So I needed to adjust this side of that boundary. So I got myself into a position where I thought I might be able to see them, and I moved this box east until I felt they were in, which they were. I needed to lower the area that I was going to catch in this move, because on the other side Y level was 114, but here it was 111, so I needed to move this down to 111. So I moved it down 3 blocks. I felt that should have got everything. Once I was happy with my selection, I used the move tool. And this time I felt I knew a little bit more about what I was doing. I clicked on the preview button and the image of my build had changed to a preview. I could then use the various buttons to move my build around the castle. It felt really strange moving things like this, I must say. I played around with that for a while until I got it into a place where I felt it was supposed to be. Now, when moving the library, I didn't use the apply button, but when I did click that, it actually moved my preview to the place where I wanted it. It moved 96,600 blocks. Can't believe that. Can't believe that, really. So now I needed to fill this in, and I'd found a flood fill tool, which I must say I wasn't very successful in using when I first used it. And I'll show you what I mean. I wasn't quite sure what these things did, so I played around a little bit, and my first experiment got me feeling like I was trapped inside something. So I used my shovel, because I would be trapped inside dirt, seeing as it was dirt I was moving, and actually came out of something. There was bits of grass floating in places that I didn't really want them. So I undid that, and because I was outside, I saw what I was trapped in. It was a big pyramid. So that wasn't what I wanted. So I undid that. And I think it was because I had it in 3D. So I changed that to 2D. And then I thought that it should be enclosed within this rectangle that I'd made. And also that I should reduce the distance, because I knew the width of this was 23 blocks. So I made it a little bit smaller than that, and I tried again. And this time it worked how I wanted it to, so that was really good. So I started putting layers in and filling the corners, and then all I needed to do was to resolve the big block of dirt I'd put in there with the surrounding terrain. And I'd probably need a fair bit of dirt for that. But it was back into survival mode for the rest of it. So I've been back and forth a few times, getting a load of dirt, and things are looking a lot better. There's still a few straight edges that I want to resolve. And as I'm changing the terrain and making it fit and look nice, I feel so good at having changed those buildings. I'll just nibble this bit off. A bit more dirt for me to use there. Straighten this out a little bit. It needs to be more graduated. This is the last hole I need to fill in, I think. There we go. I am so glad I've moved those. You know, it did take me a long time to decide whether to move them or not. Because, you know, using World Edit, it's just, well, it's just not me. But this is the second time I've used it now. And I was glad I used it last time in my passive world to change the blocks of a ruin to editable ones. I wouldn't have been able to carry on the series had I not done that. And this just feels much better now. Yeah, I like it a lot. So there we are. Let me know what you think. I hope by now you know I appreciate all your input. I really do. So I'm going to call that an episode. So take care, everybody. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.